who can talk about this topic. Yeah. So if or Dr. Yazid, would you like to give a few words before we start? You're muted.
Sorry, Assalamualaikum
Okay.
and good evening. Welcome to Prof. Dr. Z. It's good. It's a good opportunity for us to hear from the expert for the unified design. And this opportunity for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yazid. All right. Before we start with this webinar with the topic application of universal design in built environment, let me share with you the biography of our speaker today. So Professor Datuk Sri Architect Dr. Asiah Abdul Rahim is a professor at the International University Malaysia, or IIUM, at the Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design. On her academic qualification, she received her Doctor of Philosophy from Oxford Brookes University. She received her Bachelor of Architecture from Deakin University and her Diploma in Architecture from University Technology Malaysia, UTM. And her area of specialization is in engineering technology, applied sciences, technology, architecture, open building, industrial building system, design for disabled, and of course, universal design. With that, I would like to invite Professor Datuk Sri Architect Dr. Asiah Abdul Rahim to start your presentation. So the screen is yours, Professor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, clear, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Shurin, lecturer from Jabatan Seni Bina Lanskap UPM, Honorable Professor Madya, Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Yazid, Deputy Dean, to all beloved PG students. I thank Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that I was given this opportunity to share my little knowledge about the application of universal design in the built environment. For your information, I have been in this topic for the past 5 years, 25 years, under 5 different ministers for under Ministry of Human. The table of content, number 1, issues faced by persons with disabilities, covering hearing impaired, vision impaired, those who are using Pwds, introduction to universal design in the environment, case study locally and abroad, conclusion, and finally about my unit, which is the Impaired Universal Design Unit, Kudu IIUM. As you know, by the year 2050, the aging population in Malaysia over 65 years covering 25%, covering 15%. So the percentage is quite high. For Singapore, by the year 2025, the population is almost 20%. So when we talk about application of UD in built environment, inside and outside, therefore, the concept of connectivity, accessibility, facilities for persons with disabilities, the aged children, and others should be considered. And the Sustainable Development Goals, we have 17 goals. So among other goals which are relevant to our topic is number 3, good health and well-being.
I'm sorry, Prof.
Yeah.
We cannot see your slide.
Oh.
Yeah, the slide. You have to click on the slide.
You haven't seen my slide. Okay, I can repeat.
We only see the 4 icon.
Oh, okay. One moment.
Yeah. Yes, coming up. Yes.
Can you see something?
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Ada berdengung eh?
Yeah, there's a echo. Yes, fantastic. You can see it now.
Can you hear my voice now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the title of my paper, Application of University Design in the Built Environment. So for those students who come from abroad, this is one of the tallest building, Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur. The top below is Malacca, the heritage city. This is one of the oldest masjid in Kuala Lumpur, which also apply university design, okay, under retrofitting. Yeah. Putrajaya, the center portion here, and masjid and building Sultan Abdul Samad. At the moment, I'm the architect to do measure drawing and dilapidation work. Okay, so the picture below is my university located in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, this is the title of my presentation covering 5 topics: issues faced by persons with disabilities, introduction to university design, case study locally and abroad, the conclusion of my presentation, and finally, a little bit introduction to my unit, CAI University unit in my university. So by the year 2050, 15% of Malaysian population will be above 65 years old. Yeah. Therefore, this concept of university design should be practiced now and improved further inside and outside buildings in terms of connectivity, accessibility, to cater for the needs of persons with disabilities, the aged children, and others. There are 17 goals under SDG. Among the 17 goals, there are about 4 or 5 related to our topic, which is number 3, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities. We refer back to this important document, Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, highlighted. This document was in 2006, highlighted that persons with disabilities as objects of charity, medical treatment, and social protection towards viewing persons with disabilities as subject. Before, we look at this group of people as objects. But now we look at this as subjects with rights who are capable of claiming those rights and making decisions for their lives based on their free and informed consent, as well as being active members of the society. Therefore, recognizing the importance of accessibility to the physical, social, economic, and cultural environment, to health and education, and to information and communication, in enabling persons with disabilities to fully enjoy all human rights and fundamental freedom. So when you look at social, economic, when we talk about economic, we must give them opportunity to get jobs so that they don't become poor. We must give them opportunity to go to school, preschool, school, primary, secondary, even up to university level. Health, good health, and then also opportunity to get information by this group of people so that they have better life. I go straight to understand hearing impaired. Hearing, we call it hearing impaired, covering 2 categories: deaf and hard of hearing. Deafness is the complete of loss of ability to hear from one or both ears. This is according to World Health Organization, and 10% of disabled person population in Malaysia are hearing impaired. So out of 500,000 in Malaysia, the total person with disabilities is above 500,000. And 10% of them, which is about 50,000, are hearing impaired. 2 categories of deafness: deaf, 55 decibel and above. They use sign language and speech communication. Hard of hearing, 54 decibel and below. They use hearing aids user, cochlear implants, and speech communication. Visually oriented communication, visual language, and own deaf culture. So they have their own culture. So it is important for us to understand, especially at building entrance, as well as information counter, what are the expectations for this group of PWDs, person with disability, when entering a building. The best solution is having glass door compared to solid door because they can use sign language to the reception if you're using glass door. If it is solid door, when a deaf person knock the door and the reception answered, please come in, he or she cannot hear. Two-way video intercom, you can use this communication. Induction loops, normally is popular at transportation hub. Information counter, normally busy and noisy. Solution, at the reception or information counter, if that person is deaf, you must use pen and paper so that this person can write down what he or she wants. Hard of hearing, you must have induction loops so that he or she can have a better or better hearing. Another one is lift. What happened if a deaf person is stuck in the lift? He or she can use the button to talk, or he or she has to use handphone. Sometimes you cannot have any line in the lift. So for the deaf, if there is any emergency, there is a special emergency button, receiver for mobile phone, or for hard hearing, special emergency button, receiver for mobile phone, induction loops system. In Japan, even 3-star hotel, they use monitor, TV monitor inside the lift. So this TV monitor is attached to the reception. If there is an emergency or something happen to the user inside the lift, so the reception can see and to help them, able to help them. You must have alarm or alerting system. So the solution is visible as well as audible to all users using flashing or strobe light, designed not to confuse, placed at isolated places, for example, in toilet, bathroom, hotel, bedroom. Flashing and strobe light meaning, normally in a hotel, when somebody press the button outside the door, you will hear the bell. The bell cannot be heard by the hearing impaired or deaf person. So what is the solution? The solution is that you have to have flashing lights. So when somebody press the button for the hotel room, so the hearing impaired will see the flashing light inside the room. Or you use buzzer. I will explain to you later. There are many cases where the hearing impaired is in the bathroom or is sleeping. The cleaner will enter the room because this person cannot hear when somebody knock the door. So sometimes it is an embarrassing situation. These are the hotel kit for deaf client. So these are the facilities where architect should recommend to the hotel. They have buzzer. Normally buzzer will be placed underneath the pillow. When somebody press the button, so the buzzer will buzz. You have other product like flashing doorbell and so on. Disaster warning or alerting system. There is a case where majority of the deaf person working in the factory, all of them are deaf person. If there is no flashing light, if there is any emergency, for example, fire, they cannot hear the bell ring. So what happened to this group of people? So they will die if there is no, support system to give them indicator that something or emergency is happening. So short messages, for example, SMS to deaf mobile phone is another solution. Now it's quite common. Even in the airport, if there is any flight delay, the deaf person will know that his flight is delayed due to this smartphone. Traveling, airport public phone, solution, accessible phone, built-in webcam, internet platform for YM, Skype, and others. Now I go straight to, I touch a little bit on the elderly. You see these facilities, internal and outside. Inside internal environment and the external environment, main entrance, doors, corridors, interior pathway, elevators, test ramp, and so on. Similarly to external environment. So this is quite common not only for the elderly, but for everybody. So how can we make these facilities accessible to all, including elderly, PWDs, and children? These are the comments given by my friend, Godfrey Oi Good C. He was at the Malaysian Association of for the Blind. He got degree from UM. For your information, I told you earlier, I was with this topic for the past 25 years. I think I look young, but I'm not young. I think. Okay. He said, engineers and contractors may be ignorant of the PWD standard in the code of practice, lack of knowledge of principles of 80% towards facilities of PWDs, cost cutting by developers and implementers, lack of coordination between authorities, consultants, and developers. This is especially at external spaces where you have your pedestrian walkway, you have so many things there. You got the lighting post, you got your trees there, as well as letterbox. So there is no clear path for the pedestrian. So everybody is fighting for the space. Broken tiles, warning and guiding tiles, uncut branches protruding into the pathway. The vision impaired, normally they use the white stick to walk. This is his eyes. So when he is using the white stick to walk, so the foot is okay, but his forehead will be hitting the branches of the trees. Therefore, it is not suitable to position trees in the middle of the pathway. Due to uncut branches and so on, uncovered drains, warning tiles right at the edge of the opening should be located about 300 mm away or 1 foot. Lampposts on the tactile blocks, negative attitude of the public, like parked vehicles on tactile guards. So, public use their facilities. Therefore, sometimes they position their cars or motorcycle at the tactile guides. Public education for early age, public awareness through mass media, and then train for the blind person to be assessed or the inspectors or advisors. Those are the views from my friend. The first view regarding the hearing impaired just now, it was from my friend, the president of Hearing Impaired in Malaysia, Encik Sazali. Yeah? And this one from my friend as well, issues raised by wheelchair users, problem with accessible toilet, accessible parking for wheelchair users, suitable gradient 1:12 for ramp with railing. In the world, we use gradient 1:12, except most countries in the world, except Australia, they use 1:14. UK, US, Malaysia, Singapore, Korea, Japan, Scandinavian country, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, New Zealand, Australia. Australia, they use 1:14, yeah? Because their country is big. Effort flow level with drops 25 or 50 or 100 mm. Flow level drop. Straight drop a few inches, 1 inch or half inch, 25 mm or 13 mm or 50 mm. Those is a barrier to wheelchair user. Those drop. So try to avoid. We should have seamless journey, no drops. And then rough floor surface with good grip. So this is a better suggestion so that they are able to wheel on the texture surfaces. Now we go straight to introduction to UD in the built environment. I am telling you about Malaysian situation. If you are not from Malaysia, you can learn something about our country. We got independence in 1957. From 1957 until 1980s, the Malaysian architects, the Malaysian engineers, majority of them are still studying, whether locally or abroad. During that time, we don't have any standards for the disabled. So this is very important because sometimes our friends, those are person with disability, complain why that building is not accessible. I cannot enter this building. So I told them what year those buildings are constructed. If they are constructed in 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they are not accessible. They are not for them, not yet, because we are so poor during that time. So the country is busy developing in terms of education, agriculture, economy, infrastructure, and others. Basic facilities. So we don't concentrate for the person with disability yet. We want to make sure the country is performing to a betterment. So thus the building erected in this period are mostly not accessible for the disabled. So this is the history of Malaysian Standard. 3 Malaysian Standard was initiated in 1980s and published in 1990s. So MS 1183 published in 1990, specification for fire precaution in the design and construction of buildings. We have revised in 2015. Okay. Then we have MS 1184, first publication 1991, Code of Practice on Access for Disabled Person to Public Buildings. Then we have MS 1331 93, Code of Practice for Access of Disabled Person outside buildings. So for MS 1184, the first publication in 1991, then we revised in 2002. I'm the chairperson. When we did the revision in 1998, publication 2002, later we revised again 2014, published. And then we have amendment in 2017. Now we are revising again by adding 5 more topics covering school, preschool, secondary school, transportation and heritage covering bed lift. Then we also include housing. And finally, we include disaster. 4 additional topics, and we also review the whole document, not major, because that document is very good. When I check the revision, I refer to all document from many parts of the world. And so we work about 2-3 years on that document, and we also refer to ISO 2011. That document covering many countries. So if you look at Malaysia Standard, some drawing, we have 2 sizes. One for the ASEAN, the other one for the European. So this is MS 1184, Industrial Design and Accessibility in the Built Environment, Code of Practice. For your information, Code of Practice MS 1184 is compulsory, mandatory, not voluntary, this document. It is written in 34A UBBL. It is written there 2 documents, MS 1183 and MS 1184. Both are mandatory and compulsory, meaning the architects, designers, engineers must follow this document and practice them in India, practice them both by local authority and the practice professional. So another, actually for your information, I checked 8 standards. Other document which I checked is MS 2015, Part 1, 2006, public toilet under minimum design criteria. There are more than 20 different design. So when I was asked to do this, because there was a history before, when a Japanese tourist wrote a letter to our then Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, showing how beautiful Malaysia is, including the toilet. So because of that document, they requested all the ministries to look into our toilet, and we prepare our design criteria, and I was asked to chair this document, and I refer to many references, and one of them from New Zealand. So in that document, I don't explain on this topic today. So I do a lot of research, checking who spend more time to use the toilet, male or female. Let's say if there is one big bus entering R&R, how many seconds per person using the toilet? So we did that so that the designer can tell for this duration of time. For example, R&R receiving about 18,000 passenger per day in R&R. So the routine, the number of times people using the toilet must be considered. We revised that document in 2017. We also have MS 2577, 2014, is architecture and asset management of masjid. I was asked by a practice architect to do this document because they found out not many document, not many standards written even in the world. So I checked all the architecture data, and then there's so many data that architects use abroad. Yeah? Only 1 or 2 pages related to masjid. So I was asked to do this. So it was completed in 2014. Yeah? So I also use many references for this. So what is university design? Means the design of products, environment, program, services to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. So meaning from the womb to the tomb, can use the space. University design enable a wider cohort of people to benefit from accessibility, safety, and usability without discriminating against anyone. The 7 principles of UD state that facilities should be designed to be usable to the greatest possible extent rather than by all. So you have to use as much as you could from the space where you apply UD. There are 7 principles. You can download this document from internet. So Ron Mess is an architect. He's a WeChat user. Another definition regarding to inclusive design, talking about inclusive or inclusive design, very, very important to consider user-centered, user-centric, focusing to the users. When you wanted to design your building, you must know who are your users in your building, both inside and outside, and also connectivity from one block to another, or the whole park. Yeah? I assessed on it more than 700 buildings, including parks throughout the country, with more than 60 local authorities. I'm the consultant to 4 ministries, and also I was with DBKL from 2000 until 2012, training them. And then with Putrajaya 2011 until now, with MPPG from 2014, and many more. So I train all over Malaysia, supported by Jabatan Standard and other ministries as well. So I'm quite busy. Bawah sikit pada Ustaz Kazim. Okay, next, I'm doing a joke for my overseas student. Housing is too frequently designed for the average person with average physical ability, when in reality, few people meet this description of the average. Therefore, we should consider range greatly in size and physical and mental abilities, and they experience many changes throughout their lives. So therefore, when we do housing, we should consider persons with disabilities, elderly, and children. When I talk about person of disabilities, according to Malaysian standard, MS1184, there are 6 definitions. But if you refer to Jabatan JPOKU, which is the welfare department in Malaysia, there are 7 definitions, including multi disabilities. Yeah, other than wheelchair users, hearing impaired, vision impaired, those who are using stick, mentally disabled, as well as slow learner, autism, and so on. And finally is the multi-disability. This person deaf, blind, and using wheelchair. 3 types of disability. Yeah. Sometimes you can see in the age population, they may have this type of disability. Little bit on statistic, 50% of world population are disabled. Yeah. And then Malaysian population in 2021, about 588,159, covering 7 types of disability. Learning disability, 202,000. Physical disability, meaning those are using wheelchair, walking with stick, physical. Visual impairment, 52,000. Hearing, 40,000, which is almost 10%. Mentally disabled, 48,000. Speech disability, 3,000. Other type of disability, 27,477. This is, I just show you some example. Into 2010, 7.9% of Malaysian population above 60 years old, which is about 8%. In 2040, about 16.3%. Now we have about 32 million population. Let's say we take 9 or 10, let's say we take 10%. 10% of 32 million is about 3.2 million. 3.2 million population above 60 years old plus 588, which is almost 3.7 million Malaysian users, covering disabled person or person with disability and the age. When I use the term person with disability, covering these 7 categories. Okay. Now I touch a little bit on aging. This is above 65 years, 7%, 40%, 30% according to this. 2010, above 65 out of 28.3 million, 1.4 million is above 65. And then above 60 years old is 2.3. In 2018, out of 32.4 million, 2.1 million above 65. And above 60 is 3.2 million out of 32.4 million. So it is quite high. Yeah. Little bit of the Malaysian population. Yeah. I'm not going to read this. It is written in my bahasa, but you can see the increased percentage of them in Malaysia. Yeah? And many of them are middle income or T20. Yeah? Middle income. They have good salary, good income. They like traveling. They enjoy traveling. So resort must be accessible. And then we talk about resort. We talk about transportation. Transportation covering air, jetty, water, and the rail and road. So all these 4 types of transportation must be accessible. Accessible, connectivity, continuous, so that age disabled people can travel and use, and also increase good economy for the country. And for your before PKP or MCO, Malaysian income number 2 income come from tourism. So I just go through very quickly. Here we talk about public transport and also social support. This is related to dementia. Dementia is a type of sickness that elderly will get this, and there is no cure. There is no cure for dementia. But if you refer to Islamic perspective, if that person is a Muslim, if you read Quran every day, there is a possibility that you are not able to get dementia. That is from Islamic perspective. I do not know about other race. So if you look at Malaysia prevalence, 8.5, 8.5%, 8.5%, urban 6.8, rural 12.9. So the number of the total percentage is high for the rural area compared to urban in Malaysia. This is more information regarding to social support, quality of life, and living alone or living with a family, living arrangement. You can see this percentage. Very high, 3%. Low to 5 is 16%. Lowest quality of life for the lower income, 16.3 compared to the highest income, 2.9. So you can see the distribution there. And it is quite frightening, Dr. Shurin. I'm now is 63. I'm retired 3 years ago. I'm a professor, contract professor in UAE. Let's say my age, let's say I will die at the age of 90. So I need another 27 years to work to sustain my life, my health, and so on, because aging and health, they come together. If you provide good facilities for the aged, so they can enjoy their life and good mobility, so they will have a better well-being. Yeah? Okay, this is dementia. I'm not going to detail. Yeah. This is population. We refer to other countries like Japan. By the year 2050, Japan is red color. 36, 30, every 100%, 36 is above 65. If you look at Sweden, blue color, Sweden, by the year 2050, it's about 24-25%. But Japanese is the highest. That's why they really prepare themselves. For your information, I mentioned to you just now, Malaysian standard MS 154 was written in 1990s, same year as Japanese. Our Malaysian standard and Japanese standard, same year, 1990s. I'd like to show you this diagram. This is by by Goldsmith. Goldsmith 2000. 2000. So the users, when we talk about user-centric, our users is from 1 to number 8. We got young people in the university. You can jump, you can walk, you can run, and so on. And then you have elderly, you have children on prem, and so on. And finally, you have the aging. Number 7 and 8. A, B, C, and D is the designers, architects, landscape architects, town planner, engineers, and so on. If you are A category, meaning you only design for young people, that's why you have a lot of steps. Step here, step there, there is no ramp. So only this group can enter the building, but others cannot. Designer B, you provide for the young, at the same time you try to help the disabled, but not continuously, not seamless. C also the same. S, but the category of users are reaching number 6, 1 to number 6. But the best designer is D, covering number 1 to number 8. So one of my friends by the name of Abdullah told me, Prof, why don't we do this way? If you focus to the disabled, the aging population this way, so we cover everybody. So I thought this is a good approach. Yeah. This is from my friend, Professor Edward Stanfield from Buffalo University, US. He mentioned the term enabler. Everybody has this in your body. A, difficulty interpreting information. B1, severe loss of sight. G, difficulty moving head. J, loss of upper extremity skills. K, difficulty bending, kneeling, and so on. So this sort of disability, some you are born to be disabled. 2, you become disabled due to road accident or at work. 3, due to sickness and aging. Yeah? So you can have different. So these are the 7 principles of UD: equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive use, perceptible information, tolerance for error, low physical effort, and finally size and space for approach and the use. I will explain to you later, and you can Google this. Yeah. I now translate in any mobility. You go vertical circulation or horizontal circulation. So what are the spaces for vertical circulation that can bring us from one place to another? One of them using staircases. Yeah. Lift going up. Horizontal will be corridors, pathway, yeah, and so on. So if your vertical circulation can allow all users to go up, yeah. For example, in one case, yeah, this particular wheelchair user only stopped at 22 level on the 22nd floor, but his house is on the 23rd floor. Why, Dr. Shereen, he stopped at 22nd floor? Why? Or anybody can answer me. Why he stopped only at 22nd floor, not at 23rd floor? Please answer me. Don't be shy. We can do very informal.
Maybe the lift stop only at 22nd floor?
Because of the reachability, he can reach.
Oh.
You cannot reach the highest button. So therefore, the architect must use horizontal panel for the wheelchair user. So because the lift only has the vertical, so he cannot reach the number 23. Therefore, he has to we call menjala.
Oh.
So he stopped at 22nd floor, then from 22nd to 23rd he has to climb manually lah to go up to that level. Okay. Now I'm talking about application. These are the building typology covering waterfront, tourist attraction areas, residential, can be condominium, terrace, double-story bungalow, semi-detached, public building, hospital, religious building, masjid, offices, and so on, institutional, polytechnic, sekolah, school, healthcare, clinic, hospital, and others. So what are the products to assist the disabled person? Digitize information for the hearing impaired, guiding block and warning block for the vision impaired, ramp for the wheelchair user, braille for the vision impaired, hazards for the hearing impaired, accessible toilet for the elderly as well as wheelchair users, grab bars and hooks for the elderly and wheelchair users, flashing lights for the hearing, railing is very important, especially for ramp. You need to have railing for both sides as well as staircases. Fire staircases, you must have railing for both sides because some person with disability have weak hands. Sometimes they have right hands weak and sometimes they have left hand weak. So if you have this opportunity, you allow them to have better opportunity to save their life. The legible or embossed graphic is for the vision impaired. A commercial wheelchair, this one you should position your wheelchair in any shopping complexes and so on to help the elderly for shopping. There are cases, for example, you enter a bank, bank branch, you got the security in front there. So doorman assistant, you must train your staff. You must train your staff at the reception, at the university, or at officers and so on, so that they have this feeling of sympathy with this group of people. Yeah? Service personnel, interpreter, sign language. Yeah? So I was involved in Ministry of Transport to help to prepare the SOP, operating procedure in their transportation. But for your information, for the flight, for the airport or for the aeroplane, their SOP is good. We have no objection. If you go to KLIA 1 or KLIA 2, whether you take MAS or AirAsia, if you are elderly person or you are a person with disability, they really take care of you. But you must inform during when you buy the ticket. So for me, I always travel using OKU, a person with disability route. Yeah, always. I travel all over the world using this route, not only to make my life easier traveling, but also I learned a lot from various part of the world, the airport and others. Yeah, I can share with you later on. So this is as an architect, where you want to position your UD application in your building, where you receive your client brief. Yeah, for example, from developer or something like that. For the new building, during design process, you must put universal design consideration into your design. And then I was a practice architect for 25 years. I have my own firm and I have completed more than 340 million Malaysia ringgit for the past 25 years with CCC and CF. So in my buildings, all my buildings that I design, I include university design. My firm started in 1995. So covering high-rise building, factories, office building, clinic, and schools. So I managed to have these facilities in my building because I give the data from Malaysian standard. And Malaysian standard is compulsory, mandatory. So it is a must for you to provide. It is equivalent to UBBL. So I was wondering why people cannot do that. You must give the justification. At the same time, when I do the design, I inform other consultant, the civil engineer, the mechanical engineer, electrical engineer of these facilities, because they have to include those facilities in their work. For example, structure engineer, if you draw a line indicating drop, he will provide a beam there. And then for the engineer, I must tell my mechanical engineer, make sure when my lift, when it open, takes a longer time so that my wheelchair can enter the lift. If it is too fast, what happen? Your wheelchair will get stuck. And then my mechanical engineer, my civil engineer, and also the contractor during the first site meeting, I give them the Malaysian standard, and every site meeting, I inform them again and again and again. You must do this. And make sure when you do your ramp, you must got railing both sides. And if this bolted to the floor, do it correctly because that railing will carry 100 kg of body weight. When a wheelchair user using the rail, you must have both side railing. And then when he's holding the railing, his body weight will be transferred to the railing because he's tired wheeling. When you do the wheeling, it is very tiring. So he will stop and hold to the railing. The diameter of the railing should be between 35 to 50 mm. Diameter, if it is too big, so there is no strength to the railing. If it is smaller, good grip, so he or she will become safe. So this is post-construction. This is new building. What happened to existing building? We have to do post-occupancy evaluation, which is assess audit in building. This is where I told you before, the majority of the buildings constructed earlier, we have to do this assess audit to do retrofitting. Not only in Malaysia, but many parts of the world, even in Australia, Sydney. Sydney took 10 years to make the city friendly for the Paralympic in 2000. I did my research there. In Oxford, not all areas are accessible because those buildings are 800 years old. They have a lot of steps going up. So when there is a designated area, there are signages or wayfinding to show that. So OKU or which user will find which toilet should I take for me. So then we check. So when I went to, when I did my PhD in Oxford, so if I wanted to use the accessible toilet, I can go to Mark Spencer. So as a wheelchair person, so I must do my homework before going. So I must check which, and similarly to the real person with disability, especially the wheelchair user. If there is no accessible toilet, what happens to them? They don't drink. If they drink, they only take one sip. They will check the toilet first. If there is no accessible toilet, they only take this cafe only one sip, setengah atau dua. Or they wear pampers if there is none, including Rasariba. Rasariba was with me for 10 years.
Yes,
Our
Prof.
famous YB. Yeah,
I heard her talk, and then she mentioned about not drinking because they don't want to go to the
because
toilet.
she was with me for 10 years, where we did SS
Ah.
audit in many parts of Malaysia, and he fell when she was in Hyatt Hotel to grip in the toilet. So I was a little bit worried when I brought. Okay, that's why I always make a pair. So if I bring a visually impaired can work together with wheelchair user. The wheelchair user can guide the visually impaired. So they stay together in one room, or else I will spend a lot of money. So sometimes wheelchair user need assistance to carry, because sometimes from here below paralyzed and so on. Okay. This is detail from what I mentioned. I'm not going to explain. It is almost similar to what I mentioned earlier. There are 2% who do submission. The first one, the principal submitting person, which is AR is architect, IR is engineer. Architect will be buildings, IR, engineer will be factories and others. Yeah? So next, these are the example of SS audit that I did in many parts of the world. In many parts of Malaysia. Yeah? And these are the equipment that I use, measurement, measure the gradient. Look at this one, ramp going down. This one, the guy walking with a tongkat stick, but he almost fell because there is no railing, and the floor finishes is slippery, so it is quite difficult, and so on. I would like to share with you some pictures showing good example. There are many bad examples, but I would like to share you with good example in Putrajaya. This is my house. My house is somewhere here in Precinct 8. I bought this house. I used to stay in Subanjaya. I bought house in Putrajaya because my husband was a wheelchair user. He was a civil engineer, but due to sickness, he was a diabetic. So he has to cut below his knees. He retired at the age of 40. So I was the only person who, the breadwinner of the house with two young children and so on. So I chose Putrajaya. I bought my house there because of accessibility. It took me 2 years around Kuala Lumpur to find the best option for me. When I am in UIA, my husband can stay in Putrajaya. He can go to Clubhouse, Wheeling from my home, only 10 minutes. He can go to Pasar Medan, the market, because the market is only 2 floors, but there is a ramp. So the haircut is done on the first floor. And then you can go to makan, Medan Sejarah, double story, but there is a lift to go to the first floor. So this is very important, and he can also go to the lake.
Yes.
Because my house is very close. Sometimes I order my food in Lake Club. I travel from UIA. I say, I want to see you and my children at 8 o'clock. I ask them to cook. Everything is then ready on the table. 8 o'clock, we had our dinner. So he moved from the home by car or wheeling. Only 10 minutes. So when I arrive there, everything is ready. So my life is easy. And my house is very friendly as well. I do modification and so on. So look at this
Prof.
one.
I like
Precinct 16. This is one
Yeah,
of our favorite place.
Yes.
Because this one, if you look at this ramp, although the size of the railing is a little bit bigger than what is expected from Malaysian standard, but he could hold to this. So when he can drive, when he park his car, and then my daughter will take his wheelchair, he will here, and when he's tired, he will hold to this railing. There is a landing here. Every 6 meters of the ramp, you must have landing. Then ramp up again, landing, and we go up to the next one. Okay, this is another example of good facilities that he can do his activities without assistance. So this is very important, so that he will get depression. He's a civil engineer, didn't work. If he go to work because the facilities is not there for him, dia dulu jaga tapak, jaga construction. This is another good example, precinct 18. If you look at the curb, the height is only 75 mm, equivalent to 3 inches. Majority of the curb in Sweden or Scandinavian country is about this 3 inches. Then your ramp is more pleasant compared to 150 or higher than that. Jadi kita punya ramp tu lagi curam. Much and then you have to work hard to wheel. So this is some of the example which is very pleasant. In Malaysia, bus stop, there is to cater for the wheelchair user. This is a very nice approach to the house. The gradient is very comfortable. Good walkway, clear pathway, no trees, no telephone, no letterbox, no lamppost, very clear like this. Although the size is only 1.5 meter, but at least wheelchair can go there. So this is the quality that we are expected. More example, look at here below. This is near my house. You got the sitting here with the concrete before the walkway. So there is no grass here. So if somebody wanted to sit there and he wanted to socialize, so he can push his wheelchair near the seat. So more example. So I became a wheelchair user after my knee operation. Then I was given I was the leader for a research, which a requirement to travel to many parts of the world. So I traveled to Dubai, and then I went to Spain, Granada, Alhambra, many places. I go to London, then to Scandinavian country and so on, with many purpose and many types of building typology. So I use all the route. This is in KLIA 2. KLIA 2. I access audit, I told you before, I access audit for existing building to improve facilities for the person with disabilities. So this is Langkawi International Airport. So we give our findings or our result to the owner of the building. I just show you, this is International Airport Penang. This is a bus stop at Sydney, Australia. When I did research over there, so this is me, the one wearing red, to see the behavior of the driver. The driver really take care of person with disability, especially the wheelchair user. So they are very experienced and they do their task very fast. For your information, in Sydney, some areas are hilly. So not all bus stops are accessible. So they put the logo where the bus stop is accessible. Similarly to buses. Some buses are not accessible. Those buses are accessible, they put the logo or the symbols. In English, we call symbol. So it is easier, and also the timing. And then the mapping of the city. I think this is another area that we can do further. I was in Melbourne. Look at how accessible, continuity, connectivity, seamless journey. You can see same level, easy, good signages. More example in Melbourne. This is good. Big signages for, we call it, I forgot the term, but those who are not able to read or differentiate between P and B, B and D, P and Q. So you have to use big symbol, so you can see the symbol from far away. And also braille pattern there. Sitting. This is very important. When I was in France, so also in Malaysia, some example in Malaysia there are there. For this is very important for hearing impaired. You must have the lighting, because they don't hear wherever. Let's say you stop at one place. If you're using hearing, the vision impaired can hear, but the hearing impaired, they need this lighting to show the destination. This is in Seoul in Korea. Korea and Japan, they use similar type of details. This is the warning block, the one with dot. This is warning block. This is the warning block. You can see this is the railway, and then this is near the train station. But in Japan, one thing is good. Their people, especially the vision impaired, they're able to buy tickets at the counter, because there is braille. But I think in Malaysia it's quite tough. They have been trained to. I think in the world, I think Japanese is quite advanced at the ticketing to buy ticket. And then these are some more example for the signages. It is okay if the size is small. The most important thing you see there, or else the wheelchair user will wheel. And it is very tiring to find facilities for them. This is the hand basing for elderly people who is flimsy, shaky. So they need this fixed railing to stabilize. Yeah, these are more examples here. In London, you have children railing for children as well. Yeah, and then this one, a train and aeroplane as well. Some facilities. Transportation. Yeah. This is very important for transportation, vans and so on. Look at the details here. Yeah. In Malaysia, we have as well. Yeah. And some free buses. MPPJ and Kuala Lumpur also provide free buses, but we must consider connectivity from one place to another place. Yeah. This is another example. You have steps. At the same time, you have staircases, ramps with warning block here. You can see the railing on both sides. You have seating for the elderly. You have small signages there, although the size is only 100 by 100, 4 inci kali 4 inci and so on. This is my traveling to Spain, United Kingdom. This is a heritage building with ramp, yeah, and so on. So this one you have steps and you have ramp. But this is a little bit dangerous because, especially for the pram or wheelchair, for the wheel, the smaller wheel, you have to be very careful at this one. The bottom right. This one in Oxford, you can see all sort of people using the space. If the spaces are accessible, so everybody can use, do shopping and good income for the business. This is in Oxford. Some example. Look at this one. To cross over, you just cut. Yeah? So simple. It's not very difficult. And I was wondering why people didn't do it. This is, you see some example of ramp. This ramp to cater for 1 to 12 gradient, so they have to go longer like this to cater this 5 step. This is only 1 step, 150. This is the 150 kali 12 times 12. Then you have this distance. This is at Heritage Building, yeah, at in. I will go a little bit faster. This is unisex toilet. And then there is a string. You can pull the string. This is at Oxford Brookes University. This is also top right, also at Oxford Brookes University. You have you have 3 railing, left, right, and at the center. Yeah? This one for children. This one for the vision impaired orang buta. The vision impaired, they are not able to visit the building, but they wanted to know, so they built model made of stone. Yeah? More symbol for the for people, especially the learning disability and so on. Yeah? In Paris, this one is very important. Platform lift. You are not able to do the ramp because the side is small. Therefore, you use this platform lift where you can use. You just press the button. This thing will be going up, and if you are not using it, it becomes like this. Yeah. This is from my friend James Harrison. Yeah, we were together in many places. So his mother is a dementia. So at night, his mother like to go here and there. So what he did was he buy something there, and you know, a product there. This product can talk. Go back to bed, mother. When she cross, this product will talk. Go back. This is his sketches. Yeah. So I finished some example. Now I bring you to Singapore when I brought my student because I was the course coordinator for high-rise building. So this is one of the newest airport in Changi, Terminal 4. So some other facilities you can also see similar in KLIA too, but you can see you know, the signage as well as wayfinding. Very beautiful. From far away you can see the signage for toilet male and female, as well as changing nappy and wheelchair and the toilet. You was wondering why this toilet below having the steel grab bar at the back. The majority of the toilet, accessible toilet in Singapore, they have similar design. They have at the back. I don't know, maybe some LD person using different style of in the WC to hold to avoid falling. Yeah? Falling is another topic, very interesting. So this is the warning block, very popular in transportation hub, wayfinding, a lot of sitting. This type of sitting is very important, especially at the park. And you must have a support like this, hand support like this for elderly person or people like me to stand up. You can push those things. So this is in Admiralty. Yeah, they have good signages. This is, they call it refuge area. This wall is 2 hours fire rated. So if there is any fire, the wheelchair users will stay here to be helped. So the wall is 2 hours fire rated. Yeah? Even in high-rise building, sometimes they have special floor. So more example here. I go very fast. Look at this ramp. There are many different type of ramp. The most important thing is your railing. You must have railing on both sides. For example, in Masjid Al-Falah, this is very important. For this masjid, I love the ablution because the wheelchair can enter. You just see where the water fall, or the water from the tap fall here. So this level to where you stand is the same level. The same level. So you tak ada turun naik. You don't have to go up or down, and easy for you. So I thought this is one of the best ablution, and also you can refer to Malaysian standard for masjid. Yeah? This is at Nanyang Technology University. Dr. Shurin, whenever I go, my objective is doing other things, but my handphone will take other things. That's why I never forget about this topic. What I wanted to show you is the seamless journey and the type of corridors of pedestrian walkway. Very clear. And many railings. Very clear pathway. And good signages and symbol. Very clear. You can see very nice. And also the refuge area there. This building, I think, got after gold, we call platinum. They don't use plaster for the concrete. For example, I just go very quickly. My conclusion, I hope before that, my conclusion, already 7. UD program, UD awareness should be given to all staff at the universities, especially the development division where you do the construction. So you can do both assess audit, and you can do for the new one, you can apply straight, but for the existing you have to do assess audit. Subject of university design accessibility should be taught as elective, which you are doing now, which is very good. Even UIA, I have a subject for this elective, 14 weeks. This topic is 14 weeks.
Only on universal design, Prof.
Yeah, only on universal design is 14 weeks. So I'm teaching this subject.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they become expert on this topic because 1 hour is not enough. And there are many.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But at least awareness program.
That's right.
Promoting Malaysian standard, you can look at other interrelated, and finally you can buy this other item 4. You can buy online. Yeah. Now I would like to share with you my unit.
Okay.
This I was with UI in 1998, but I did, as I told you, I was with the ministry for 25 years under 5 ministers. So I said could do for many years. I didn't convert to center because I'm worried about KPI. My KPI is like a center, not like a unit. My KPI is like a center, but I do not want to change to center. Very funny, yeah. Okay, these are the places that I audited, including bangunan parlimen, lapangan terbang international airport in Kota Kinabalu, Masjid Mizan I did 3 times, assess audit, as well as Masjid Negara. Masjid Negara was constructed in 1960s. Okay, so these are the lists that I've audited throughout the country. More than 700. Some I managed to write. You can see masjid, government or non-government buildings, stadium, sports center, recreational center, academic building, many universities. Yeah. University Malaya, I audited 10 bangunan. Yeah. And then public transport, and then streets, public buildings, waterfront, airport, commercial building, and so on, and hospital. So I managed to write down about 100 plus, but I did more than 700 plus because I don't have the time to do. So this is what is Kudu and so on. So I already mentioned. The point I wanted to say, I not only audited the international airport, but also I audit aeroplane. So my task become bigger. So because in Sabah, when they have sick people, they have to transfer the sick people from one place to another using aeroplane. So have a smaller, they have less than 20 seaters and more than 50 seaters. So this is the position where we wanted to position the sick person. So this is the position for the person with disability very near to the door. And the size of the door is small, it's not big. So they told me how to bring them. At the moment, they use a sado person, strong man, to carry like this, like this. If you are smaller, 70 kg, okay. But if you are bigger like me, to carry stuff, because the size of the door is similar, so there are many options. This is one option, but this is expensive. So I prefer to do this one, using steel or timber. But this, you just bring this thing to the aeroplane. And this, this mass wing is located, dia tak ada attach kat bangunan tu. Sebab dia kecil, so it is quite far away from that. So this is one of my, under Ministry of Transport, I was with the TKSU. Satu Adam ke apa. So these are some of other example. I was asked by the Vice Chancellor to audit University Technology Petronas. In 5 buildings, I was asked to audit ISTAT, PAM, Hospital Kuala Lumpur, school and others. I also audited masjid and in Pulau Pinang. This is under UiTM. Yeah? They asked me to audit. This one quite recent, last week. I was asked to do SS audit for PDK. And the participants are all from 16, from the states, all the states and so on. So, and last week I was in Penang. Ada Majlis Pembandaran Putrajaya, Majlis Pembandaran Majlis Bandaraya Pulau Pinang. Before that, a few days before that, I was in Majlis Perbandaran Kuala Selangor. Saya ahli Majlis MTOS, OKU, State of Government of Selangor, and also ahli Majlis OKU untuk Ministry of Human. So these are some of my tasks. So they wanted me to do. I want to go for Terengganu, for Perak, Johor, Melaka and Putrajaya, 5 more before end of this year. So bawa sikit pada Ustaz Kazim, as I mentioned.
Okay.
So this one, when I audited various building, so on. That's all. Thank you so much. Sorry, I take a few minutes late from what is expected. I'm supposed to stop at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Prof. I
If
think
there is any question, please let me know.
you are more busy than the Prime Minister, Prof. Not Ustaz Kazim.
Helping, okay, you.
Prof,
If there any question,
I think
please
1
don't
hour,
shy.
like you said, it needs 14 weeks, to really digest, to
Yeah,
become an
because I
expert.
didn't teach you Malaysian standard.
Yeah.
Malaysian standard is quite thick.
Okay.
Yeah, and then each topic tu ada satu-satu calculation sebagainya. There is another topic, but another 1 hour on standard.
Okay.
Because and then yeah. I
So
cannot put it here. Here is general. So I just give some
yes,
idea.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
and the Malaysian standard is application, and also how to read plans. This topic is relevant to local authority. Sometimes when you read plan, if you are not careful, you will provide drops.
betul.
Yang jadi bedul-bedul banyak tu kena buang.
Betul. I think this is a good introduction lah, Prof. Like I said,
Introduction. This is introduction, yeah.
Yeah, because this class therapeutic landscape ni is because universal design.
I did also parks.
Yes.
In Kuala Lumpur. I did parks, but that one different lecture because of
Okay, different lecture.
Yeah, I got 4-star rating.
Okay.
Parks in Kuala Lumpur.
All right. So I also agree when you say about precinct 8 and precinct 16 because I'm also living somewhere there. So precinct 8 and 16 is two of my favorite places because they are close together and the facilities are quite fantastic.
Yeah.
Prof.
Yeah.
So
Putrajaya is our showcase for the country. Yes. Although some of the facilities was constructed 20 years ago, but at least they have considered that there are 3 champions in Putrajaya, which is Encik Zainal, Encik Buntaha, and Encik Samsul. 3 person. Do you know only 2 person started the Second World War in Berlin? 2 person. We don't need many people to be the champion.
Okay.
I see the building. I saw the building in Berlin. I
Yes.
was briefed by the tourist guide. Any question?
Okay, we have one from landscape architect Arfa. Maybe Arfa, would you like to ask Prof, or should I read to Prof your question? You written here.
Hello,
Okay, maybe.
Prof.
Okay, Arfa, go ahead, Arfa.
Hi, Prof.
Yeah.
Prof, this is regarding inclusive playground in Malaysia. May I know, is there any policy in Malaysia that covers inclusive playground for all ages and all abilities? Thank you.
Okay. Playground, I was informed Plan Malaysia ada buat. Plan Malaysia. Tapi Plan Malaysia dengan Malaysia Standard dia style of writing tu beza sikit. But under school, now I'm preparing preschool, primary school, secondary. We include that. Playground for all abilities. Playground for all abilities. Yeah. We will include our Malaysia Standard.
Okay, okay, Arfa. Okay, for your for Prof information, Arfa is doing on playground, inclusive playground for autism, children with autism.
Autism, I was wondering, why do you do only for autism? Why don't you say person with disability? Why you focus to autism? Person with disability will be better. Then you cater for the 7 categories. Sebab autism ni dia mentally je. Rugi. You buat autism rugi. Kalau saya jadi supervisor tukar.
Saya
Tukar
supervisor.
tajuk.
But it's meaningful
Sebab,
to me, Prof.
Ha?
It's meaningful to me.
Tak, itu dah pergi personal. You dah buat
Yes.
untuk halayak. Sorry, I speak in my language. Sorry, Francis. I speak in my language. You are going to be the expert.
Yes.
You are going to replace me. Why you focus on to one type of? There are 100 over type of disability. Why don't you focus to the 7? You follow the government. You follow Incheon. You follow the convention tadi. You follow the polisi kerajaan. You tak follow polisi kerajaan. Rugi.
Yes.
I bukan external examiner.
Maybe we get you, maybe. So
Why you go for person with disability. Ada dalam taman kamu tu ada budak buta boleh masuk, wheelchair user boleh masuk. Lepas tu you put big signages for the autism. Big for that autism ni tak banyak sangat. Yang lain-lain tu yang buta pekak tu penting.
betul.
Jadi pun untuk semua orang. You tak ada special untuk autism saja. Walaupun you ada anak autism.
Okay, thank you so much.
Benda anak autism, cerita autism saja. Why you kena cerita besar lagi? Because you're going to be the leader for the country. Sorry. Jadi pensyarah pula. Bukan jadi speaker.
Betul, Prof. We've been telling her that. So now she's listening to another person telling her that.
Saya rotan. Kalau dia kat UIA, saya rotan dia. Jangan cakap Dr. Sherin tu. Jangan again.
Yes. Sometimes students they too focused. They in their
You
PhD.
have to open up. You have to help others. Because I mentioned to you the multi-disability. Buta pekak wheelchair. Buta pekak autism. Autism tu dia autism tapi dia juga wheelchair user. So macam mana? Yang wheelchair tu you lupakan tak? Jadi toilet, because wheelchair they use bigger space for the toilet and so on.
Betul.
Yeah.
So kena ada rotan, Prof.
I'm not angry with you. I just increase my voice.
Kena ada rotan.
To emphasize the point.
Alright,
Okay.
thank you.
Any more questions?
Any more questions from the students or from the audience here? It's very interesting presentation, Prof.
And then for Arfa, you look at playground for all abilities, Australian case study. Cari Australia. Yeah? In Malaysia kita ada Taman Aman PJ. Taman Aman PJ is for all abilities. And also the one in Kuala Lumpur. Jangan cerita autism saja. Rugi. Sebab autism salah satu jenis OKU. Ada sometimes learning disability. Kita tahulah dia cerdik. Tapi kena open up. Besar sikit lagi. Next.
Okay, Arfa, something to discuss in your next supervisory meeting. All right. Any more questions from the audience that you would like to ask Prof. Asia? We have before while waiting for other question, Prof, for your information just now before we join this webinar, we have about 45 minutes of class. We have one PhD student. She's a Malaysian, but she share her experience in Hong Kong. So all those the building guidelines, I think in 2008 from Hong Kong. So she shared with us, and we also have people from students from China, from Iran. So maybe next week, I always give 15 minutes to them to share from their country for us to
I've been
learn
to
more.
China. I've been to Iran.
Yeah.
I went to Iran 4 times. I've been
Okay.
to
How do you
Isfahan,
find the
Kashan,
universal
Isfahan,
design?
Kashan, Tehran, and some places on the north. I do
Okay.
research with the University of Isfahan. I brought
Mm.
students there, and also I did university design in Isfahan as well. I love Iran. Very good. I like the food.
Okay.
They said salam. Any more question?
Any yeah. Prof, I didn't highlight to you when you talk about the facilities kan, in our hospital. I was in Hospital Putrajaya, the rehabilitation department, you know.
Okay.
While we're waiting at the seat there, I noticed that when you said about the door kan, so I always notice that when people, you know, it's the rehab department and then people are on wheelchair. Sometimes when every time that they want to come in, they have to wait for people to open for them. So because the door is, the way it was heavy, and then they cannot push it because they have to pull it out, you know. So it's
Very
very
often
sad
they
to
use
see.
automatic door.
They should have automatic door.
Yeah,
That's right.
sometimes they don't have the budget then, but you can
Oh,
recommend. You can always improve retrofitting.
yes. Sometimes it's very sad. You know, it's a rehab department. You know, when we talk about
Yeah.
the
So
OKU
sometimes
facilities.
it is a process. Sometimes
Oh,
you can for example, Putrajaya are receiving about 100,000 per year to improve facilities for the disabled. So they did, for example, some of the public spaces, especially pedestrian walkway, dia tak tahu lah landscape architect dia tanam pokok yang besar-besar urat dia tu. Urat dia besar-besar.
oh,
Urat pokok.
the
So
root, the root,
I complain about the what do you call urat the roots of the
the
trees
root. Yeah, the root.
become very big, crossing the pedestrian walkway. So they
Mm.
have improved this by cutting all those roots. So now, even in PC8, PC10, they have improved near my area. And
Okay.
some other areas where they have the road crossing, even bad for cycling as well as wheelchair. So I think landscape architect should pick and choose the right trees, because the one with big roots is very difficult because you have to cut it.
Agreed.
So
Betul.
saya buat recommendation tu.
Mm.
Was with Pempadanan, I highlighted the issue, so they improved that facilities. So you can do the same. You can jadi propose automatic door.
Okay. Alright.
Saya jenis yang follow through. Similarly, when I was with Masjid Mizan, the elderly found it very difficult to go to the ablution because it is quite far. So I proposed to have mobile ablution, 2 mobile ablution. So the wheelchair can go there and take ablution without going to the ablution area, which is quite far for the elderly to walk or to wheel. And for apa ni, masjid negara, when we talk about heritage building under Jabatan Badan Warisan, they have the criteria how to retrofit this sort of buildings for the disabled. So normally, if you want to provide lift, the lift must be you must use glass. Even though, so I did the same study in UK between the British Railway, about 300 years old, with the King Cross new station.
Mm.
The King Cross new station connected to the British Railway, so they use crossing corridor using steel and glass, and also the tembok make hole to connect between this to the new transport sorry, the new King Cross transport hub to the British Railway, and I was brought by the officer from the British Heritage, and one of my friend by the name of Dr. David Bonnet. We were together in early 1980s. So he was the consultant for the underground tube, and he was with me on that issue. So because for my topic, we got friends all over the world on the same topic. In Japan, in Brussels, in Ireland, in Malaysia, in Australia, we common discussion. So we know each other of the latest information and so on and something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good way to build up our.
That's why
our
about
knowledge.
architect Arfa,
Yeah.
landscape architect Arfa just now, because I've been to Australia. So I saw the parks for all abilities. So since she's a landscape architect, so if she's talking about bigger picture, good for the country. Was in Australia, and it was about a year or 2 years ago. Tempat tu saya dah lupa lah, but you can Google.
Okay.
One EPJ, it was quite old, but they do modification. Even from the walkway to the gazebo, wheelchair can ramp up to the gazebo. And some areas where you do the exercise, the open air exercise, the wheelchair can do the exercise as well. So this is the thing that I wanted to say. If you talk about autism, rugi lah. Adik-adik kita wheelchair sebagai tu rugi.
Okay, we have another person, landscape architect Amos. He wants to ask us question. Go ahead, Amos.
Good evening, Prof. My name is Amos. Okay, currently I'm working in one of the housing developer. Prof, you know that landscape architect profession is a very young profession in Malaysia. Okay, the country that we have been going through more than 60 years of development, mostly the project is leading by the building architects. Okay, and the architect in this country has been worked as planner, building architect, as well as landscape architect. And even though now some of them they are interior designer, okay, under the Persatuan Architect Malaysia PAM. My question
Under board of
you,
architect.
Prof.
Under lembaga architect Malaysia, under board of architect.
Under the PAM, yeah.
Ada
So
board.
my question, sorry.
Ada board of architect.
The board architect, yeah. So my question to you, Prof. Okay. Today when we go out, we still can see some of the building in our country still don't comply the universal design. So Prof, from your perspective, what is the problem that we still can see that those incompliances? Is that the problem of the architecture education system, or the code of practice of the architect in this country, or the enforcements of our local authority? Maybe I want to hear from your perspective, Prof.
Okay, I can see your point. So your question is quite general, but if you give me some example of the building, will be good. But I can answer you in general as well. Okay, in our practice, there are 2 person are the principal submitting person for the building. Yeah, either the architect or the engineer. Okay, normally when we receive as a consultant, for example, when you receive the design brief, as I already mentioned just now, you prepare the design, then you have to do submission to local authority. One submission for the planning department, the second submission to building department. The engineer will follow the architecture drawing to submit their drawing to engineering department. So the architect, when they do the design, they have the Malaysian standard to follow for all the facilities. So when we talk about accessibility, we talk about 7 types of disability just now. Person with disability and user-centric. So what are the facilities for them? From when you take one side, 5 acres of land, let's say housing. The first one, entering to the building. the entrance. And then you find the parking. Parking should be located very, this is under Malaysian standard. My lecture is related to Malaysian standard. There is, we call it access route. So all architects must submit access route to the local authorities. After you arrive at the entrance, and then you enter the lobby, whether there's staircase or ramp entering there. When you enter the lobby, how do you receive the vision impaired? So enter the counter of the reception for the wheelchair user. And then you must train the receptionist as well. And then from there, let's say this person wanted to go to the toilet. You must provide accessible toilet. And the journey must be seamless to that accessible toilet with all the measurement which is written in Malaysian standard. So the architect will use this document in their design submitted to the local authority for building approval. So the local authority must have the list to check whether you comply or not comply. So both must have this knowledge. Then you approve the drawing. So I can give you example for 3 local authority, how they manage to have these facilities. Number 1 is Putrajaya. Although it is a new, but their organization really follow through, not only when they approve the building approval, and also when the building is under construction, and 95% of the construction, then they did the access audit again to make sure the end product that they approve comply with the requirement of the disabled person. So the other diagram there to the process. So what they did was, so I was with them since 2011. They have unit, they call it unit universal design. And the staff comprises from all the departments, architecture, planning, landscape, and engineering. And they have been trained. Whenever I go and do access audit, they will send their staff. I went to Sabah, dia hantar orang dia. I pergi Langkawi, dia hantar. So most of my building that I assess, their staff are following me. So this staff, dia kena commitment lah. Now I give you another example, DBKL. DBKL, one of the biggest local authority in the country, and having about 5 million population, like one country, DBKL. And how do they apply this UD in their design? We know that Kuala Lumpur is one of the oldest city. So they have old building, new building, and so on. So their officer there, trying very hard. So I was with them for 12 years. 2000 until 2012. So wherever I went to Malacca, dia hantar 15 orang dia. So in order for you to become expert, you have to follow dia bukan satu hari, lama. Takes time to understand the standard and so on. So now, not only the architect understood, local authority applied, implemented, and then they should be continuously, for me, everybody must get involved. Building, architecture. Interior, if they want to follow through the architecture from, sometimes architect and ID the same person. And then outside the building, connectivity from one block to another, involve engineer as well for pedestrian. Landscape must do their part as well. Make sure, for example, when I access audit PJ, you have the ring road kan, satu ring road kan. So the ring road is having a very big path. And then before, the mechanical, electrical, putting the column, the lighting post at the center. So based on my access audit, I said it is better to position at the fence, not at the center. So they did it. They do the VO for that. So the proactive of the local authority, the training, continuous training, and so on, and audited existing building as well as new building to comply with it. And then you also have to advise the contractor. So kena ada banyak training. And if the contractor do not know how this university design, they will do wrong RAM. Instead of 1 to 12, some area wants to 10, some areas want to 8. If you do wants to 8 or wants to 6, so design to kill. So it's not suitable for the wheelchair user. So, and also finishes. Don't use 600 by 600 tiles. You don't have the grip. Smaller tiles, you have the grip. Then those are working with stick. They can use those grip to position the stick. So now they masuk Malaysian standard ni, yang saya cerita ni. And also rules. So I give you 3 examples, but they also need to train their staff continuously. That's what I'm training. That's why I need downline. I need people like this, like Alpha and so on, become expert for the nation. Teruskan.
Okay. All
And
right.
make a lot of noises as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. Amos. For now, I think we have exceeded the time by 30 minutes. I think, of course, 1 hour is not enough, Prof. Thank you very much. I feel like I'm back in lecture room, yeah, listening to you. So I really hope that we can have you, invite you more to give a talk. I think we need more from you, Prof. On this
Apa,
topic.
kongsi-kongsi ya. Bukan kongsi
Yes.
Pak Chai. Kongsi
Kongsi,
ilmu.
kongsi. All right. With that, on behalf of the faculty and our Deputy Dean, Dr. Yazid, we would like to thank you, Prof, for a very interesting talk, a very, opening our mind about the people with disabilities, Prof. So thank you very much. And
So I also take this opportunity to thank you,
yes.
UPM, for inviting me to this very special occasion to share my experiences and so on. Kalau ada tersilap salah, please forgive me because I'm quite straightforward. I am a practicing architect.
Thank you, Prof. I
Okay, thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay,
Bye.
salam. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay,
Thank you,
bye.
Prof. Thank
Okay,
you,
bye,
Prof.
everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Yazid.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.